I knew that I wanted to be a doctor when I watched Doctor House for the first time. That's when I realized that medicine is the puzzle that you have to solve every day, and fell in love with it. So my name is Buitre, and I'm going to tell you about how I got into medical school. So I got off high school and I did the national exams that you have to do in order to get into a university, and I did very bad. My scores were very low and I wasn't able to enter university that first year. Fortunately enough, my family was able to pay for a pre-college course that allowed me to prepare for those exams. I gotta say that I was very lucky to have that opportunity. But all of a sudden, COVID hit. And while all the people were very unhappy about the situation, I was on my prime because I loved being on my house just studying and being able to prepare for those exams. So there was I studying every single day for these 4 exams that I had to do. These 4 exams were language, math, science, and history. And well, since I was going to be a doctor, I did language, math, and science. And I didn't study for history because it was pointless. So my life basically consisted of just waking up, eating, studying until my eyes burned, and then going to sleep every single day. So maybe that's why 2020 for me is a year of my life that is very blurred. I don't remember many of the days that I lived on that year because I did basically the same every single day until that day came. And finally, after a full year of preparing, those 2 days finally came. And I'm gonna be honest, I was shitting my pants. I was very scared of failing and not doing well enough because I got anxious of something like that. But I did my best to keep it together and just do those stupid exams to be done with it. The first 2 tests that I had to do were math and science on the same day. And I gotta say that I felt cheated on math because there were many questions that were far more harder than I was expecting to. Science was very much easier because there were those kind of questions of whether you know the answer or you don't know the answer. And since I studied much, it meant that I could answer many of those without any hesitation. You have to do 2 exams in a single day. As I said, in the first day it was science and math. And in between of those exams, you had a rest. And I gotta say that after math, I was still shitting my pants. But as I said before, there was nothing else to do but going forward. After I was done with science and math, I returned to my house and just cried myself to sleep. Regardless, I told myself that tomorrow was the last day and I will be finally done with it. Now, the second day came in and I had to just do language and history. And you might be wondering, Buitre, why did you do the history exam if you only needed to do science? And the reason why is because, I just wanted to test myself and knew how could I do on a history exam without studying, since history was one of my favorite subjects on school. Language was probably my worst performance at that moment. I knew deep down that I didn't do well on that exam. But I was free. Finally, after months, I did those 4 freaking exams and I was done to continue with my life. But guess what? Now I had to wait a whole month for the results to came in. And that month felt like the longest dream ever. I remember that I was counting the seconds just to get those freaking results. After a whole month, I got the results back and they were fine. Science was my best performance out of all of them. I got 5 answers wrong out of 80. And then my second best exam was math. Well, I won't say that I did well. I did kinda okay. I got about 12 wrong answers. And language, I got the same score that the last year. So it was kind of like I didn't even study for language. And well, the funniest part is that I did better in history than in language. And I didn't study for history. Although my results weren't the worst and I did, let's say, well, I was disappointed at myself. I thought that I could do better, and the results on math and language didn't reflect all the, well, efforts that I put into studying those subjects. But there was nothing else to do. I had to pick a college and university to get into medicine. Fortunately enough, my scores were high enough to give me 3 different options. 2 of them were on different cities than mine, and one of them was in my city. But the problem was that it was a university that it was not that prestigious, and still it is not that prestigious. And it was the first time that we're creating this medicine career on that university. So I had to pick a big risk of whether going to another city to get into medicine in a more safe option, or go to a college, a university that didn't have that well of a reputation, but it will allow me to stay on my city. And I picked the second option. I forgot to mention a very important detail, and is that while the more prestigious option was available and it was important to consider it, it was in another city, as I said before, so I will have to pay for me moving there. But also, it was not free, and I will be on debt if I study on that university. While the first option allowed me to study for free and also just stay on my city. I don't know which was the correct answer, but it led me to the path that I'm walking now, and I must say it's not the worst one.